Welcome back to the Lost Book of Herbal Remedies. I'm Emma, and today we've got a fascinating deep dive into something that has really become a hot topic in the modern workspace: standing desks. More and more people are turning to standing desks as a way to fight the effects of sitting all day. But are they really the silver bullet for improving health?
You're right, Emma. Standing desks are everywhere now, and while they definitely have benefits, there's more to the story. We're going to break down the science behind standing desks and their impact on cardiovascular health, productivity, and overall well-being. Plus, we'll talk about the potential risks of standing too long and how to avoid them.
Exactly. Today's episode is all about giving you a comprehensive understanding of the research behind standing desks. We'll explore the pros, the cons, and everything in between to help you decide if a standing desk is right for you or your workplace. So let's start at the beginning. In today's fast-paced work environment, people are spending more and more time sitting, and that has some serious consequences for our health. Research shows that a sedentary lifestyle is linked to a range of health issues, especially cardiovascular disease or CVD.
Right, Emma? Prolonged sitting has become one of the biggest public health concerns. Studies are increasingly finding that sitting for too long every day is directly connected to higher risks of heart disease, obesity, and even early death. And with the average office worker spending up to 10 hours a day sitting, something has to change.
That's where standing desks come into play. Over the last few years, standing desks have gained popularity as a way to combat this issue. The idea is that by spending more time standing, people can reduce their sedentary behavior and improve their overall health. But while standing desks are a great start, the research shows that it's not as simple as just swapping your chair for a standing desk.
While standing desks do help reduce sitting time, there's a fine balance that needs to be struck to get the full benefits and avoid some of the risks that come with standing for too long.
Let's dig into the risks of sedentary behavior, particularly when it comes to cardiovascular health. One of the most comprehensive studies on this topic comes from the UK Biobank, which followed over 83,000 adults to understand the impact of sitting on cardiovascular disease, or CVD.
The results were pretty alarming. The study found that individuals who spent more than 10 hours a day sitting had a significantly higher risk of developing cardiovascular disease and even orthostatic circulatory disease, which is a condition that affects blood pressure and circulation when standing up.
What's even more concerning is that for every additional hour spent sitting beyond that 10-hour threshold, the risk of developing CVD increased. Specifically, the hazard ratio for each extra hour of sitting was 0.15. That's a significant jump in risk for every hour you stay seated.
On the other hand, the study also looked at standing time, and while standing more than 2 hours a day did help reduce sedentary time, it wasn't without its own risks. People who stood for long periods without moving around also saw an increase in circulatory problems like chronic venous insufficiency and varicose veins.
This is why simply standing all day isn't the solution either. What the research really emphasizes is the importance of incorporating regular movement throughout the day. Yes, standing desks can help reduce sitting time, but they should be part of a bigger strategy that includes walking breaks, stretching, and other activities that keep your circulation moving.
Absolutely, Emma. If you're going to use a standing desk, make sure you're alternating between standing, sitting, and moving. That's the key to maximizing the health benefits and minimizing the risks.
Now, let's shift gears and talk about how standing desks are being used in occupational settings, particularly in offices where people are often sitting for long stretches of time. A recent study on white-collar workers provided some really interesting insights into how standing desks impact the need for recovery after work.
Right. In this study, 89 participants wore accelerometers to track their activity levels over the course of a week. The study looked at how standing desks and different patterns of sedentary behavior affected the need for recovery, which is basically how tired and drained people feel at the end of their workday.
The results showed that people who spent more time in longer periods of standing, what the researchers called long occupational sedentary behavior, or OSB bouts, actually had a lower need for recovery. In other words, they felt less drained and were able to stay focused for longer periods compared to people who had shorter bursts of activity.
That's fascinating because it suggests that standing desks can help reduce fatigue and keep you more energized throughout the day. But here's the catch. If you stand for too long without any movement, the same study found that this can lead to discomfort, fatigue, and even circulatory problems.
Exactly. So, while standing desks can promote longer, focused work sessions, the research is clear that a balanced approach is essential. You can't just stand all day. There needs to be a combination of standing, sitting, and movement to avoid those negative effects.
Let's move on to how standing desks affect task performance. One study explored the impact of standing desks on reading comprehension and creativity, involving 96 participants. What they found was pretty interesting.
The participants initially thought that standing would make them perform worse on these tasks, but the study actually found no significant difference in their performance between sitting and standing. Whether they were reading or doing creative work, their performance remained stable.
That's right, but here's where it gets really interesting. While their performance didn't change, their engagement levels did. People reported feeling more enthusiastic, alert, and engaged when they were standing. So even though the output might not change, the psychological experience of completing tasks can improve when you're standing.
And that's huge, especially in a work environment. Feeling more engaged means people are more likely to stay motivated and productive throughout the day, which is a win for both employees and employers.
This brings us to the psychological effects of standing desks, which are just as important as the physical ones. Research shows that standing can actually boost your emotional well-being. When people use standing desks, they reported feeling more positive emotions.
This aligns with something called embodiment theory, which is the idea that our physical posture can influence our mental state. So when we stand up, it can lead to increased levels of arousal, making us feel more alert and positive.
And in high-stress work environments, that's a big deal. Anything that can help reduce stress and boost emotional well-being is worth considering, especially when it comes to long-term mental health.
Now, Alex, let's talk about the misconceptions that still surround standing desks. A lot of people believe that standing will negatively affect their performance, but the research we've seen actually shows that standing doesn't impair performance at all.
Exactly. In fact, standing desks may even help people feel more engaged and focused, even though their task performance stays the same. The key takeaway here is that standing doesn't hurt your productivity. In fact, it can enhance your overall work experience.
And that's important because these misconceptions can prevent people from adopting standing desks. By educating employees about the real benefits of standing desks, companies can help their teams feel more confident and comfortable using them.
But Emma, we also need to address the risks that come with standing for too long. Prolonged standing can lead to circulation issues like varicose veins and chronic venous insufficiency, which can cause a lot of discomfort if you're not moving around.
That's true, Alex. The key here is balance. Standing desks should be part of a broader strategy that includes movement throughout the day. Whether it's walking around, stretching, or taking short breaks, it's important to keep your circulation moving.
And standing also increases your heart rate and emotional arousal, which can help you stay more focused and energized. But again, too much standing without movement can have the opposite effect.
So what does all of this mean for public health and workplace policies? Well, it's clear that standing desks alone aren't enough to solve the problem of sedentary behavior. There needs to be a culture of movement in the workplace.
Absolutely. This means encouraging things like walking meetings, standing during phone calls, and offering opportunities for employees to take active breaks throughout the day. By creating an environment that promotes movement, companies can help reduce the risks associated with prolonged sitting and standing.
And it's also important to remember that everyone's needs are different. Tailoring solutions to individuals based on their health status, activity levels, and personal preferences can help create a more effective and sustainable approach to managing sedentary behavior. Before we wrap up, let's dive into a special herbal formula from the Lost Book of Herbal Remedies. This formula is designed to help people who spend long hours standing by, improving circulation, reducing inflammation, and boosting cognitive function.
This blend includes herbs like ginkgo biloba, which enhances blood flow and mental clarity. Hawthorn is another key ingredient. It's a cardiovascular tonic that strengthens the heart and improves circulation, making it perfect for people who are on their feet all day.
Then there's ashwagandha, an adaptogen that reduces stress and helps maintain energy levels. Rhodiola is another fantastic herb that boosts cognitive function and reduces fatigue, which can be a game changer for anyone dealing with the physical demands of a standing desk.
And let's not forget ginger. which helps reduce inflammation and discomfort from standing. All of these herbs work together to support overall health and well-being, especially for those using standing desks.
This holistic approach, combining the use of standing desks with herbal support and regular movement, really helps you maximize the health benefits while minimizing the risks.
That's it for today's episode of The Lost Book of Herbal Remedies. We hope you've learned a lot about how standing desks can improve your health, as well as the importance of keeping active throughout the day.
Be sure to check out the full article on herbalbloom.org for more details and tips. And as always, stay informed, stay healthy, and we'll see you next time.
Take care, everyone.